So our next presenter is Tim Parra from Bridge Therapeutics. We'll go ahead and get him set up.
Hi, can you see my screen?
We can see you.
You can see me, okay. Good, that's a starting point. Okay, I'm going to just run through this and see about questions from there. So, Bridge Therapeutics presents a great opportunity to disrupt some very large markets where there's been precious little innovation in the last 20 years. And what I'm talking about are the markets for opioid addiction and chronic pain medicine. So Bridge is going through this in a low-risk fashion. We are using generic drugs, but building building an economic moat around them, building economic barriers to entry around them. I'd also point out that some investors shy away from pain because of the difficulty in controlling for the placebo effect. That's true of any neurological condition. In our case, that actually is a strategic advantage, and I'll explain why as we go through this. So, to get going, we have two problem areas, two products to deal with. So, the first problem is that the leading addiction drug, which is called Suboxone, is both inconvenient and irritating. Suboxone is the brand name. The active ingredient is called buprenorphine. It's safer than methadone because you can't overdose on it, but it is not swallowed because of first pass effect. It's given in the mouth and dissolves in anywhere from 6 to 16 minutes. Along the way, it causes mouth irritation in about a fifth of patients, 22%. And this is a big market. It's 6 million patients spending $6 billion a year. Our version of the same drug dissolves in just 3 seconds, so there's no mouth irritation. But chemically, it's the same as Suboxone. It's buprenorphine naloxone. And we use a freeze-dried delivery technology called Zydis under exclusive license from Catalent to deliver these benefits. So the market appeal of Bunals among patients, providers, and payers, ranges. For patients, it's convenience and safety. For providers, they're going to hear fewer complaints, so better outcomes. For payers, a modest price. The unit cost of our tablet is significantly below that of the branded drug. And so we can price at a discount and still make healthy profit margins. So there's a fourth class of payer, another class of payer, for whom time is money. And that's in like prisons and halfway houses where the patients or prisoners are watched taking their drugs, their medicine. So here, time is money. If we save the warden time, we save them money. So yet another reason for using our therapy. Let's turn now to our second area, and that's actually the bigger problem, is that opioids, while they are our strongest pain relief, have serious side effects. And these range from constipation and depression to addiction, overdose, and death. 50,000 Americans have died every single year since about 2009 from opioid overdose. It's the leading cause of accidental death in America. Who's most at risk? Well, there's 50 million patients taking opioids daily for chronic pain. They spend about $20 billion a year. So that's our second market. Bridge is offering two different pain therapies. The first one is called BUP-HD for buprenorphine high dosage. This has been shown to be stronger than fentanyl for pain, about 20% stronger, yet without the addiction or overdose risk. We have an even stronger, better pain relief called Bucam. And here we combine buprenorphine for neuropathy or damaged nerves with meloxicam for the inflammatory pain, which accompanies chronic pain in about 90 or 95% of cases. Here, quick delivery is even more important because for addiction, treatment is once a day. For pain, it's 3 times a day dosing. When we look at commercialization, we are already well along the way to getting the product on the market. We did formulation a year and a half ago. We've opened our IND. We've gone through a pilot PK study and expect to do the only trial needed for FDA approval in this quarter, perhaps this month. This should allow us to file in the first half, and with what we anticipate is rapid review, be able to be in sales about a year from now. We expect rapid review because, number one, we're treating a top priority of FDA, and number two, there is precedent for buprenorphine. If we look at the product pipeline, we talked about the first three therapies. And then as we go forward, we reach into more and more intellectual property. So the first one, the drugs are generic. We're relying on the manufacturer's patents for this quick delivery technology. BUP-HD, again, it is the drug is generic, but here we are getting a period of market exclusivity for doing a pain study with this drug. Bucam is patented. Bup-IM, which is intramuscular for addiction, and then we have improved versions of our earlier drugs, all have long patent lives to them. But because the active ingredients are generic, we're not facing long trials or expensive trials. When we look at the go-to-market strategy, we seek to minimize the upfront cost by maximize coverage by outsourcing where this makes sense, certainly in the mid and back office for that purpose. If we look at financial projections, they're quite strong, and we can justify that because to get started, prescriptions of addiction therapies are highly concentrated by geography, through clinics, and through certified doctors. All this means that we can get a big impact in the market with a small sales force. Starting with the addiction sales force, we can then grow into the pain market, which is national, of course, and international. This assumes that we don't do a marketing deal with someone, and we're actually we have multiple discussions now with pharma companies on licensing or marketing. If we look at the sales forecast, you will note that what I've just shown you is a tiny market share, just 3%. 10% is a more realistic target, or even 40%, and we can get to 40% through what's called government guidance. That could boost sales into our high case. So CDC, FDA, etc., they encourage their physicians to use the best available therapy. Once we've shown that our pain relievers are the safe alternative to opioids, we can become the standard of care and capture 40% of the market, or $10 billion in sales. So what's Bridge worth? Let me give you a couple of analogs. There's a company called Therapeutics in the market, which is also doing branded generics using 505(b)(2). They do have a 40% market share already of two of their therapies, Civanti and a new one. It is what they expect. As of today, they're worth $1.7 billion in the market. An even better analog is a company called Biohaven. Biohaven is also doing pain, a different type of pain, migraines in their case, but they are using Zydis, the exact same delivery technology that we are. Biohaven is now worth $5 billion. We are looking now for $30 million in total. Currently, the focus is on $5 million round at a $60 million pre-money. If we turn to the question of why Bridge and not somebody else, it really comes down to our team, and in particular, a chief science officer. Dr. Greg Sullivan is a top clinical researcher. He's done 170 clinical trials for FDA approval, including 16 buprenorphine trials and another 15 trials where the placebo effect needed to be controlled for. Dr. Sullivan is an experienced physician in pain and addiction. For over 30 years, he's been running a clinic focused on that. Our Chief Operating Officer, Dave Bergstrom, has spent his career in pharma, and he ran this division with a quick dissolve technology for 7 years. Now, I myself have a business and finance background. I've been looking after startup companies for about 20 years now. We have a junior member of staff, 3 scientific advisors. In particular, I point out that Bob Rappaport ran the FDA's division for pain and addiction, while Joe Pergolesi has helped commercialize over $15 billion in pharmacy assets. We do have a full board, but I point out in particular Jason Bailey, who's been a healthcare executive for 20 years and has helped on 4 different drug launches. So where do we stand? What have we achieved? We've secured our intellectual property, raised significant capital, appointed key consultants. We are developing our first drug and are planning our sales and marketing. Well, in conclusion, why invest in Bridge? Number 1, $1 billion upside. We have big markets. Secondly, we're attacking an important problem, the opioid crisis, which will improve the lives of millions of patients. We have a fast and low-risk approval process, a robust product pipeline, and a strong team. I thank you for your time and invite your questions.
All right, Tim, thank you. That was a great presentation. Why don't we jump right into the questions? Give you a little extra time there since you finished quickly. Judges, before we go to the audience, do you have any questions for Tim?
Warren, it's Gary. I do. I'm going to take my VC hat off and put my clinical hat on as an anesthesiologist. So from what I understand, and again, it's not like, you know, I'm not sure that my knowledge base of this is not dated. I always thought that the agonist-antagonist drugs like buprenorphine had a ceiling in terms of analgesia. So from the clinical perspective, I mean, I get the opioid addiction part of it, but when we give analgesics, we do give analgesics for analgesia. So I'm concerned about using this drug to prevent addiction, yet at the same time not adequately treating pain, because you're also putting the patient in a situation where once this is on board, other opioids really can't be used.
Okay, if I may, Gary, the ceiling effect is on the addiction response and on respiratory depression, not on addiction. Sorry, not on pain relief. It treats two different parts of the brain. The reason why it can be used once a day for addiction is because that is sufficient to block the reward response in the nucleus accumbens for 36 hours. Treating pain requires the maintenance of a minimum serum level, drug serum level. And here, buprenorphine behaves the same way as other opioids. It bounces off the receptors in the periaqueductal gray. So it's possible to add other therapies. You can add other opioids, but you don't risk overdose as a consequence. Because it also, the last area where it acts is in the nucleus accumbens, the energy center. And this is where it acts as a mild stimulant. So while opioids act as stimulants for like about the first 10 days, they soon turn into depressants. Buprenorphine does not do that. It acts as a mild stimulant, sort of like a chocolate bar or iced tea.
So, I mean, so with that said, so I mean, I understand the pharmacology of it and the mechanism of action, but are you going to, as part of your study, actually going to be looking at analgesic scores of patients, I'm imagining, right? And comparing it to some control where, you know, I mean, that's going to be part of your study, right? Is the
not for the first therapy. The first therapy, the reason why we can get it approved quickly is because we are only claiming addiction. Right? For the first therapy, we are saying that this behaves in the exact same way as Suboxone, once a day. What we are then doing for the first pain drug is taking the same tablet and doing a pain study on this.
Okay.
Right. So for the first pain drug, it's actually the same tablet, so we save on formulation. All that we're doing is a pain study, which has not been done in a strong dose. There's two very weak dosage of buprenorphine for pain already in the market. They're about 1/10 to 1/100th of the dosage which Dr. Sullivan has found is effective for treating severe chronic pain, moderate to severe chronic pain.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Judges, anybody else have a question for Tim? Tim, what would you say is the biggest risk your company has on a go-forward basis?
I think it's just common to a lot of small companies, and that's delay. You know, this is what we would like to see happen. So in this, you know, last year we were set back because of difficulty in fundraising. You know, the capital markets froze from like February through, I don't know, early June. Nothing really happened. That's happened. You know, markets are filling up now. The one thing which we don't control is how long FDA is going to spend in review. As I said, we expect rapid review, which would be something between 3 to 6 months, as opposed to the statutory 10-month period. But COVID has occupied the FDA and has pushed lots of other projects back behind us. So by the time we apply, we don't know what kind of backlog. Approval is not a risk in Bridges cases. I don't see that as a risk.
You don't see approval as a risk. Okay.
No, and in fact, Bob Rappaport, a year ago summer, when was at an investor dinner, he was sitting opposite table from me. He remarked to one of the guests there, in the years that since I've left the FDA, I've had over 100 consulting clients. Bridge, by far and away, is the simplest one to get their therapies. And again,
Okay, great. Well, that's all the time. Okay, terrific. That's all the time we have for you today. So we can go ahead and launch the poll for Bridge Therapeutics, please, while Abid Abatra gets ready, my friend from Automagnetics. So do we have a poll, Uli? Okay. So let's everybody jump in and rate this company, and I'll take down the totals. Thank you, Tim, for that presentation. That was really interesting. It's very important space that you guys are operating in. So thank you for that. One of the things that we think about in venture, particularly in our fund, I'm sure at Loud Capital as well, is we can have impact and also have a return on investment, and marrying those two goals is often the best outcome for all. So that outcome of healthcare impact is really, really critical, and this definitely could have quite a bit of impact. So that's terrific. Okay, we have 10 seconds left for voting. 5 is the best, 1 is the worst. 2, 1. Okay, give me 2 seconds while I write these down. Okay, terrific. Thank you. We can take that poll down.